Cheers, Sarah. Ooh, I
Hey.
love your mug. What is it?
Oh, it's a great Pennsylvania mug. Like my best friend got it for me one time from Starbucks. And one reason I really like it is because it has a representation of the Susquehanna River right down the middle. Because the Susquehanna River is where I grew up in that
Okay.
valley, and it really is in the middle of the state. So it just is a great reminder of home and how we don't say y'all in Pennsylvania. Like on here, it says
Ah.
our other ways: use,
I've heard that one before.
yints.
That one's new.
Yeah. So it depends where we're at in the state. Like I never said these. I always said you guys, but that's not as
Okay.
acceptable anymore as it has been.
Yeah.
But my parents are users.
Okay.
And Aaron, it doesn't look like the same background. Alfred's not there.
No, it's true. I am in Massachusetts right now. So,
Oh
yep, I'm visiting family in Massachusetts. And this is actually the house that I grew up in, like at the very, very beginning of my life.
yeah. Cute little baby Aaron's house.
Yes, baby Erin lived here.
That's so cute.
And as you can notice, there's a lot of like older things lying
Yeah.
around here. And
Like
one
that
of the
cool telephone behind you.
Yeah. And one of the other old things that I found was part of my dad's accidental penguin collection. If you remember, a couple episodes ago, I talked about how my dad one time said, "Oh, that penguin looks cute." The next thing you know, he ended up with all these penguin paraphernalia.
Okay,
And
what did you find? What did you
yes, I opened the drawer and this was staring at me.
find? What is it?
It's an ice cream scoop. Yeah, it's actually a very good ice cream scoop too.
What?
As you can see, it's been around for quite a while. It's lasted us a long time.
Who's like, okay, what really needs to exist in this world is a penguin ice cream scoop. Who is this person?
I actually don't know who gave it to him. I'm not sure if it was my grandmother. I'm not sure, but someone did, and it's still around, and it's cute. And you know what? It's cute. That's all I'm gonna say.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yes. So, listeners, today our episode has nothing to do with Pennsylvania or accidental collections, but to start us off, I just wanted to summarize what we've talked about in this podcast so far. So, in the first 4 episodes, we went over some really good learning practices that we can apply to our language journeys, no matter what language it is. First, second, third, whatever. And then in the next 4 episodes, we talked about taking those language skills and applying them to traveling. So a lot of travel English. And then now we're entering into our 3rd block of episodes, and it's all about work related language skills. So specifically, we're going to talk about business English, but these same skills can be applied to whatever language you're learning.
And even your first language, these are great skills just for business. So like when you're in a meeting, it's great to be able to speak the same language, to understand what's being said, what's being asked, so that you can contribute and participate. When you're at a conference, you know, those small talk, running around the table and understanding the speaker. When you go to a trade show, so that you're able to speak with the other participants and also with the people who come to your table. Whenever you're dealing with suppliers, often suppliers will not be speaking the same language that we do. Mm-hmm. And when you export, is really common, even more common than that when you export, the people buying your products or services will not be speaking the same language that you do. So there's just so many reasons to learn, like apply these skills to work.
Exactly. And all those skills that you mentioned, Sarah, or even landing your dream job, right? And this all boils down to the first skill we're going to talk about, networking.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk about formal networking events like a Chamber of Commerce event, or just conversations that happen around the water cooler, right?
Yeah, like they say, it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's all about networking. So around the water cooler, like what do you mean by that? Like what are some things that people talk about?
Oh, anything. It could be how your kids are doing, what you did last weekend, what project you've been working on.
Okay. So let's get started. But first, Erin, what are the 3 words or expressions that our listeners should listen out for today?
Yes, today we're going to be talking about cocktail hour, sum up, and attrition rate. So you can jot them down, put the meanings in the comments, and listen to see how we use them in context.
Yep, so it's cocktail hour, sum up, and attrition rate. So I guess you're ready to go, huh?
Yeah, do you have 20 minutes on the clock, Sarah?
I sure do.
All right, your 20 minutes start now.
So, Erin, what kind of networking do you do?
I go to a lot of different events. Most of them are cocktail hours, since I think that those are events that give you more time to network and have more in-depth conversations because it's an entire event dedicated to networking, right?
Yeah.
And I find that that's just a great place and a great way to create long-lasting connections.
Yeah, I really love like the Chamber of Commerce here in Levy. Like it's
Yeah.
so much fun. You meet great people. And at first it's intimidating, but after you go a few times, you start to recognize people and be able to reconnect with people, and you're like excited about going after a few times.
Yes. I remember the first time that I went to an event in Montreal and I recognized somebody when I arrived. I was like, oh my goodness, thank goodness.
Thank goodness. Yeah, it's the hard part is like getting out of that comfort zone the first few times. After that it gets so much easier. And yeah, and a lot of the collaborations that we have at Verbatim, a lot of our partnerships, and come through going through networking events where we met great partners and collaborators, and sometimes clients, and sometimes we become their clients. So it's a great way to get business done. But I find that where business gets done the most is in my weekly meetings that I have with BNI. So I know that you're a member of a BNI as well.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, BNI Business Network International, they have events on a weekly basis where you can kind of present yourself and get to know people. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one person per seat. So you have a seat and you just can really help each other do business. It's a lot about helping each other out. And that I like it because it keeps me accountable, it keeps me consistent, and you create a real partnerships and create a real community there, more than like just at the Chamber of Commerce, which is much more informal. Because it's formal and because you really have to be there every week, you actually get business done. So not that that's an ad for BNI, like not at all. There's so many other groups like that where you just have one person per seat and you get business done. I just like the model. I think it's fun, and you create a true community and true friendships.
Yeah, and there's more accountability because, like you said, you have to be there on a weekly basis. And so you know that the people who attend are ready to I don't know, ready to put some elbow grease in, right? Get some work done.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk about that free networking period then that happens before those types of events, before and after a scheduled weekly meeting. We can talk about the sales pitch part of things, which for a more structured event at a later date, another episode.
Yep. Today we're just going to be talking about networking itself.
Right. Yeah. So before even showing up to different events, I like to think about what kind of person I want to meet, whether I want to meet a collaborator or if I want to meet a client or a source of clients.
What do you mean by a source of clients?
Yeah, so a source of clients is somebody who can naturally and easily refer clients to you. So this could be a competitor who doesn't offer exactly the same thing that you do. So there's ways that you can collaborate, or there's someone in a connected field. For example, you could think of an architect and a general contractor, right?
Right.
Their field goes hand in hand, but they don't overlap in a way that they would be like neck and neck, fighting each other.
Right. It's more collaboration, and they can create this partnership that's very natural. It just naturally they have the same clients and they can refer each other very easily.
Right. Like if a client goes to one, then that person can say, oh, I know a great general contractor who can help you with this, and refer that client that way.
Exactly. Okay, so before you go, you think about the kind of person you want to meet, whether it's a collaborator, a client, a source of clients. So then what do you do next? What do you do when you get there?
Yes. So once I get there, if I'm with somebody, like we attend at the same time, I'll talk to them for a few minutes, try to make a game plan. That can happen like arriving at the event, or if you have time ahead of time to plan, and we can figure out who we want to talk to, and then we separate. If we stick together, then it doesn't work the same way. You can cover more ground when you're talking to different people, right?
Yeah.
And if I come alone, it's the same thing, right? I just look for somebody that I can introduce myself to, right? I look for familiar faces, like we talked about, or I look for somebody who is standing alone, maybe by themselves. That's a really easy person to approach at the beginning. Or I look for people who are in groups of 3 or 5, because then I know that there's at least one person who might not be as engaged. Because if you have 3 people, then there's 2 people talking to each other and one person that's kind of off to the side a little bit. Talk to that person, right?
Yeah. If there's like 2 people, you know that they're like in depth, they're having a conversation, you don't want to interrupt them. But like if it's an odd number, there's much more of a chance that you're not interrupting anything. You're able just to integrate so much more easily. So how do you do that? How do you integrate into that existing conversation?
Well, a great way is just asking, can I join you?
Yeah.
And nobody's really going to say no.
I hope not. That's what they're there for, right?
Right. You're all there to meet new people. And so when I meet them, I introduce myself. I shake hands with each person in the group, right? And I also like to make eye contact with people when they're talking and when I'm talking to them, right? Not like the weird, creepy eye contact where you don't blink, you know?
Yeah, like you don't want to have like a like fishy like a handshake, which is like really weak.
That too, yeah.
With weird eye contact, like it's totally not come across as you wish. So like a firm handshake and uncreepy eye contact.
And I grew up with that. Like when I was in middle school, high school, whatever, anytime that I would meet an adult, I would give a really firm handshake. And I can't tell you the amount of times that people are like, wow, great handshake, you know? And it just opened up doors, you know?
Okay, so you get this great, you're Erin's trademark handshake. How do you introduce yourself? What do you say exactly?
Good question. A lot of times I'll start with my name, right? My position at my company and what we do. So, for example, I could say, hi, I'm Erin, co-owner of Verbatim. We specialize in language services, specifically online English, French, and Spanish courses, as well as proofreading and translation. We cater to both business professionals and businesses. What do you do?
What you do. I love that.
Yeah.
Again, so you really have to be prepared. Like you can't just show up and try to wing it. This is something you should be able to sum up what you do into like 1 or 2 sentences like you just did there. That was very simple, like who you are, what you do, what the business does, and then flip it to the next person.
Yes.
Very great.
Exactly. You want to listen. And like when I go and I do networking in French, I have to write things out, and that's okay. You know, you're not going to sit there reading it when you meet them, but you can write out what you want to say. You can memorize some things, right? You'll have to adapt them to the conversation, but at least it gives you a base and a starting platform, right?
Yeah, be prepared. That's the Scout's motto, right? Be prepared. Get ready before you go. Don't just show up and expect it just to flow naturally and just to meet the right people.
Exactly.
Get that guest list. See who's going to be there, who you want to talk to.
Yes.
Decide what kind of clients or people you want to talk to, like whether it's collaborators or partners or clients. And you really want to be able to present yourself very quickly, very simply, in a way that's easy to understand.
Yes, exactly. And just because you're preparing ahead of time, it doesn't mean that you're not fluent in the language. You have to prepare in your first language too, right? So So I always have to tell myself that too. Just because I'm preparing, it doesn't mean that I'm worse at French than I thought or whatever. No, the
No,
two, they're not connected in that way.
no. Okay, so you've introduced yourself, the other person's introduced themselves. What questions do you then ask to get this conversation going?
Yes, I try to make sure that I'm asking a question that I'm actually interested in hearing and listening to, right? So, let's see. The easy one to start with would be like asking a follow-up question about what they do. So what they just explained to me, right? And so you can go back to those question words: who, what, when, where, why, how much, right? So
Like
yeah.
what do you do exactly? Who is your ideal client, right?
Exactly. And that's a great question to see if you can help them, to see if you can connect them to other people in the room or other people in your network, right? Your surroundings. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's the who. Okay, how about the where? I guess you want to see what geographical area they cover. Like, if is their product or service online and it can be for anyone, or is it really just for one neighborhood?
Exactly. Like if they only service people in Quebec, then you don't want to like refer them to somebody in Ontario, right? It's not going to be a good connection or a good client for them.
Yeah, so where are you located? What areas do you serve? And a question I kind of like to ask is a little bit deeper is that why question. The why. Why do you do what you do? What is your mission? What is your purpose?
Yes, that's a good point because we talked about finding our personal whys when it comes to language learning, but it can also apply to our businesses and our professional goals as well, right? Because that's the point of a business. Yes, to make money and to provide for our families, of course, but if we don't have a why that resonates with other people, then we don't really have a purpose, right?
Yeah, and it has to be more than just like a why that feels good to us. Like we have to actually provide something of value to someone else. Like if we say like I want to sell orange bananas and there's no market for orange bananas with smiley faces on them, then my why it doesn't really matter. Like there also has to be a market there. People out there willing to buy that orange banana.
Exactly. If nobody wants a toilet plunger that doubles as a bottle opener, then don't make it.
Oh wait, where did you come up with that? That's so
I don't
gross.
know. I was trying to think of something that nobody would buy.
Oh my goodness, that is so disgusting. Thank you for that image.
All right, well, we can move away from that and talk about something that's a little bit lighter, I guess. But Sarah, I thought we could talk about at this point verbatim's why. Like what drives you as co-owner? What drives verbatim? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, something that we visit and revisit often is to make sure that we're on our values and our vision and our mission all align. And for us, like that mission, that why is that we want to create opportunities for connection. Like communication is all about connection. So creating those opportunities in a safe, fun space. We want to open doors, maybe open doors to new horizons, travel, new opportunities, new jobs, and break barriers, things that are keeping you back from reaching your goals, or your objectives, your dreams, just breaking them down by learning another language. So for us, like language is much more than just being able to speak and communicate. It's about creating new, beautiful opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something that everybody can resonate with, right?
Right.
So it's great.
Okay. So now you've asked this why question.
Yes.
Okay, so the other person looks at you and is like, what do you do exactly? Okay, so can you give us an example? No, I'll give you an example. All right.
Okay.
So let's say you're an owner of a gym, all right?
Okay.
Do you go to the gym much, Erin?
No. I like just running around outside.
That's a much cheaper way of doing this. So let's pretend we're the owner of a gym, and we could then say, like, our gym goes over and above for our clients. What do we do that's different is that we have a coach that's provided in the membership that means you have a motivator by your side, cheering you on, giving you pointers, and guiding you every step of the way. And our attrition rate is much lower than our competitors. So for every 100 people who sign up in January, 75 are still active members in December, meaning they come at least once a month by December. That is way above the national average of only 20 of those people. So we have 75 still with us, other than our competitors. No, just at 20.
Wow. That might be a gym that I would go to. That's
Yeah,
very
maybe. Okay, but I don't know if there is such a thing as a gym that has that great of an attrition rate. They've only lost 25%. But let's pretend.
Right, but that's a great way to set yourself apart, right?
Mhm.
Find a way that you stand out from other competitors, or if you're looking to land a job, right? Find a way that helps you stand out from other applicants, right?
Yep.
What makes you different? If you're a dog groomer, then somebody might ask you, well, why should I go out of the way to bring my dog to you instead of just using the one in my neighborhood, right? Well,
Right.
maybe you have an answer to that. Maybe there's a reason that they should go to you, right?
Yeah, why are you worth the extra mile? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, okay, so you've had this conversation. It's gone on about 20 minutes. This is the time when I'm like, oh, it's been really great to meet you, but I there's someone over there I'd really like to talk to, or I have to talk to tonight. I try to move on to the next person in a very polite way. And for me, about 20 minutes per person is a good rule, so that in an hour you get to see a few people. Like, and if you have 2 hours, a few more. But like, you don't want to spend the whole time speaking to one person. It's not an efficient use of the networking time.
Yeah. That's for follow-up. Like, you schedule a follow-up meeting if you want to go deeper, right?
Right. That's why
Yeah.
I asked for their card, because I'm old school and I really like people to give me a real card in my hand. And because then when I get home, I can see them. I can go on LinkedIn. I check in with them and see if they would like a follow up and when they would be available. But I never hand out my card. Like, unless someone asks me for it, I just don't give it to them. Like, it should not be unsolicited. Like, don't go to an event and just start handing out your card. Have a good conversation, and at the end, like, can I give you my card? Would you like my card? Ask permission, and always ask for the other person's card in return.
Yeah. Yeah, I always I do like physical cards, but I also like how LinkedIn has that special QR code that you can do so you can connect with somebody right away, and then you can message them so that they pop up in your feed, or take a screenshot of who you contacted, who you connected with, so you can still go through and review the people that you met at the event.
Yeah, it's that follow up is probably the most important part of networking, and probably the part that's the most neglected.
Yeah.
Always follow up. Send a message with LinkedIn. Add them to your contact list and send them an email. Provide that calendar link. Like, I use Calendly, but you can use another calendar link so that they can immediately set up a meeting in your schedule. So you don't have to do that back and forth. When are you free? I'm not free then. When are you free? Just send them a link. They can find the best time that's already available in your calendar. So keep it simple.
Yes, exactly. And Sarah, I thought before we go, because I think we're gonna end a bit soon, but I thought, would you like to share a success story or a way that you met great collaborators while networking, or maybe the first time you went to a networking event, anything like that?
Okay, recently I was at a Chamber of Commerce event, and we were waiting in line to check in and get our name tags and tell them what we wanted for the meal. And I heard someone say that she also has a language school. I was like, oh, cool. So I talked to her. Her name is Marilyn, and she focuses on French and Spanish. And we focus on English with also French and Spanish. And so we had so much in common. And we found that we're very complementary. So we just followed up. We had a few meetings, and we realized we had a lot in common. We had a lot of the same passions, and then we could help each other out a lot, and also help our clients out. So that if we weren't the perfect fit for a client, maybe they would be better served by the other language school. And so we've created this great partnership and collaboration that wouldn't have happened otherwise. So it was just about going to a lunch with the Chamber of Commerce, and I think it's enriching for everybody. It's a win for me, it's a win for her, and it's a win for our client. It's perfect.
Yeah, that's great. I love hearing stories about that because I also get to see how it plays out in further, like as we develop this partnership, how it helps Verbatim to grow, how it helps Marilyn's company to grow, and I just love to see this fruit that's growing.
Yeah, and even later on in this season, we'll be meeting Emily Platt, that I
Mhm.
believe you met while networking, right?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, we realized that we also had a lot in common, and there's ways that we can complement each other. So you'll get to hear from her at the in a couple episodes, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah, and so it's just there's so much that can come out of it. Not just like finding a client. Like you're not out there to go hunting, like we
right.
say often. Networking is not about hunting; it's about farming. You're going, you're
Yes.
planting the seed. You're seeing who's interested. You're coming back, checking it out, checking in with the person,
Yep.
watering it. Then you reap. It takes a while, and
Mm-hmm.
you're not there to sell. You're not in sales mode. You're there
Yeah.
to create connections.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, this is so good, Sarah. I'm glad we were able to sit down and talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I hear that timer counting
Yeah, it's
down.
counting down. You're so right. It's very sad.
But listeners, did you hear our 3 words today? They were cocktail hour, sum up, and attrition rate. So, did you catch their meanings? If not, you can look them up in a dictionary, write down their definitions, and you can add them to the comment section if you'd like.
Alrighty then, so it's time to say goodbye, adios, au revoir from Quebec City.
Yep, and signing off from Massachusetts this time.
Oh
Catch
yes,
you
it's
on the
true.
flip side.
Catch you on the flip side.
Hi everyone, want to dig in deeper? We've prepared a self-guided course for you that includes a more in-depth training video, a practice exercise, a networking checklist, and a 30-minute live course to practice what you learned with one of our coaches. So if you're interested, go click on the link in the show notes below. See you next time.